Ask This Old House, our experts travel across the country to answer questions about your house. Today, we'll invite you to Tool Lab, where we'll break down drill drivers. Then show you how to use a voltage tester.
Wait, so hang on a second, that's energized up there?
And we'll expand a backyard patio. All that on Ask This Old House.
Over 100 years ago, the first portable drill came out, and it was a big boy. Weighed over 5 pounds, had a 1/2-inch chuck, could only drill a hole up to 3/4 of an inch, and you had to lug around an extension cord to bring it to where you're working. If you didn't use it right, it could break your wrist or knock you off a ladder. Over the years, dozens of manufacturers have come out with hundreds of options of drills. And between the batteries and the options on each drill, they've come a long way. When it comes to drill drivers, you really have 3 options. You have a light duty one, which is great for assembling small furniture or doing small tasks. You have a medium duty drill, which is good for drilling medium-sized holes and driving medium-sized screws. And you have a really large drill driver, which is great for hole saws, spade bits, drilling large holes, but also driving large screws. Manufacturers offer drill drivers in a variety of configurations that meets every budget. You can buy them bare tool, or you can buy them as a kit that comes with a battery and a charger. These kits can vary from $50 to $350. Let's dive into the anatomy of the common drill driver. To start, you have your chuck. This can be a 1/4 inch, 3/8, or up to a 1/2 inch. And it holds your bit or your drill bit. Next, you have your clutch, which can be adjusted depending on the type of screw you're driving in. Next, you have your drive type for drilling, driving, and hammer mode options. On top, you have your speed selector, commonly 1 and 2. 1 is slower for more power. You can switch it to 2 for higher speed. Most have an LED light, and for the motor, you can go with brushed or brushless. Brushless has better runtime and it's more compact. Drill drivers come in a variety of speeds and torque. Speed is the rotations per minute, and torque is the drill's ability to overcome resistance. But you're going to pay for these options. Just keep in mind that there's no standard for measuring torque, so it can vary between manufacturers. If you don't own a drill driver yet, make sure you do your homework before you pull the trigger, because the battery is the foundation for your toolkit. Go online, do your homework, and see what other tools that manufacturer has based on that battery platform. And if you own a home and plan on tackling large projects, go with a drill driver with all the options and a big battery. Smaller DIY projects, a light duty drill will do just what you need. And if you want to, you could just buy both.
Okay, Heath, electrical testers. Love it, because I do a little bit of electrical work. Terrifies me that I'm going to electrocute myself, so I always want to know if something's energized or not.
No electrocuting yourself, and these are very, very important. These make it very easy to identify whether something is energized, and the importance of that is to make sure that it's off when you're working on it, or if it's on, if it's wired correctly, or if there's a problem going on, what's going on.
And I'm glad to see that a pro like you actually uses them, because I thought it was just me.
What, you just thought it was lick the finger and touch it? No.
I've seen it before. All right, so what do you want to start with?
So we'll start with this one. This is one of the easiest ones to use. This is something a homeowner ought to have. It's just a contactless voltage tester. Now, it's not going to tell you what's there for voltage, but it's going to tell you something is or isn't energized.
Right.
So for here, we can put it to that prong. Here at chirp, we can tell there's something going on there. We don't know how much, but we know that it's energized some way.
You know that it's energized, right. And it's not just for plugging into a receptacle.
Right.
If you've got a wire exposed or a cord coming in and you want to know if the fans...
Exactly.
Just touch it.
Same thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, the one drawback to these is they're great. They're really, really good. They're not perfect. So because it is contactless, you can get phantom readings occasionally. If you put it on the wrong spot, you may think it's not energized, and it is. So you always want to follow up with an actual contact tester if you're going to work on something.
And by contact, you mean it literally has got probes.
Right.
And you expect those to make contact with the thing either in the receptacle or the cord of the switch that has got the energy.
Exactly. So for me, I'll use this. This is my multimeter. This does a lot more than a typical homeowner would need, but having a simpler version of this is still a good thing.
Is this a simpler version?
And this is a simpler version of this.
So how does this work?
So this is simply, we'll take that and we'll plug it in. And when it lights up, it gives you several different levels to tell you what voltage is present.
So the lighting up tells me that you've got power.
Yep.
And then I'm seeing 24 volt, 48 volt, 120 volt, and 240.
Correct.
The first three are lit up. So that tells me that that's getting 120 volt.
120 volt to this, yes.
But not 240.
Correct.
Okay. And so that's going to help you know what that outlet, receptacle, switch, or whatever is getting for power.
Exactly. So if you use this first and for some reason it didn't go off, you double checked it with this. Oh, wait a minute, I really do have power there. Want to make sure we shut that off.
Any chance of false or phantom readings for that? Or
With this, you shouldn't. No, this is direct contact. This should work.
Gotcha. Okay. And then this cute little guy right here.
This little guy actually gives you a lot more information than you'd think.
All right, so I'm seeing a grid on the front. It's got a, so there are 3 indicators.
Yep.
And on the grid right here, it's got different combinations. The first one is off, middle one's on, second one, so forth.
Exactly.
What's this telling us?
So we can't use it on the 2-prong, which is why something like that works well. But if you have 3 prongs, this will give you a perfect indication of what's going on. So you'll plug this in, it'll show which lights are lit up.
So on, off,
Yep.
and on that grid, if I may, and I look at that, on, off says hot, neutral, reverse. Did I get that right? Hot,
That's
neutral,
right.
reverse?
So we have reverse polarity.
Which means what?
So that means the black wire and the white wire are actually reversed on the receptacle.
On the receptacle. So when you have a receptacle like this and you wire it,
Yep.
there's a specific way to wire it.
So the brass screw would get the black wire, the white screw or the silver screw will get the white neutral wire, and the green will get the ground.
And if you do that correctly, you're okay. And if you do it incorrectly, it'll still work?
It still works, but not properly,
What do I care if it still works?
because it's a safety hazard.
How so?
So you wouldn't think so. You'd think you'd plug something in, it operates, what's the difference? What does it matter? Say you had this metal lamp,
Okay, we got a desk lamp right here. We got a bulb. We turn it on. We're working.
and this particular one is wired correctly.
Nothing, something, something, which means correct.
Correct.
It says correct.
So the hot wire's correct, the neutral's correct, and the ground's correct. Everything is good in this. And that's great. But if it was backwards, if we were to take that,
This is the one that we've already indicated is
reverse polarity.
reverse polarity, right?
Right.
So this is still working.
This is still working.
On, off, no
Yep.
problem.
We can kind of show here, we have power there.
Up to the bulb.
Turn the switch. We
Wait a
shouldn't have
second.
power there.
No, wait. So that's, hang on a second. That's energized up there?
That's still energized.
So reverse, so if I were to take this bulb out and I were to touch that
Right.
socket right there,
Especially with a lamp like this, you have this metal lamp and you have that brass shell right there. You're waiting to get zapped.
why is that happening with the wires reversed?
Because in a socket, the center pin wants to be the hot wire, wants to be the black. The shell wants to be the neutral.
Right.
When it's reversed, it goes the other way around.
So
And it's also the switch is now turning the neutral off and not turning the hot conductor off.
So there's a little pin in there. I'm not going to touch it. That's supposed to be the
don't.
hot. The shell's supposed to be the neutral. Those are now reversed, which means the power's coming to the shell.
Correct.
Really?
If we put it back the way it should be, put that bulb in.
Okay, hang on. This is confusing.
So it still looks like it worked. You're like, what's the difference? Still energized. Go ahead and turn the switch off.
Like it.
Now it's wired the way it should be. That center pin is the hot conductor. That's been turned off. The neutral is now the shell.
Gotcha.
You're not going to get hurt.
Okay, so headline here. I'm definitely going to have that one in my bag.
You definitely
Sort
wanna
of my
keep one of
go-to.
those.
Of these two right here, you think I should have both?
Definitely this one if you have 3 prongs. If you're stuck with 2 prongs somewhere, that's good to have so you know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to have all 3. Abundance
would,
of caution.
why not?
Good. Thank you, Heath. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, Mauro, you ready to talk painting technique?
Let's do it.
Help us all paint like a pro.
Yes, sir.
So if you wanted to give some tips to someone who wanted to paint like you, who paints every day,
Every single day.
what would the list be? Let's start.
Well, let's start by telling how do I handle a paintbrush.
The grip, huh?
Grip. You get a grip just like that. Put your fingers right on top of the ferrule. Don't have to go all the way in or out.
So you're
Just
down low. You're not back here.
Not there. Because you get at this grip here, this is the perfect. So every pro painter knows that.
Yep.
So it should be right here.
And
That
this
will-
is the ferrule, this
That's
metal
the
part right
ferrule.
here.
This little metal piece that holds all the bristles tight together.
Okay.
And the second thing is like the amount of paint that you're going to put in the brush.
The amount of paint.
Yes.
What is the
All-
proper amount?
I like what I call the 2 fingers. Or a little bit higher, but not so much, because if you put a lot of paint on, the paint is going to get in behind the ferrule. That's not a good thing.
So you're talking about, so when you dip, just dip it a couple fingers deep. Don't go all the way up.
Just like that. Just is good enough for you to do all your cutting lines.
I guess it makes sense, right? Because when you get the paint up here, that's not really getting on the wall anyway, right?
Absolutely not. The work of the brush is going to be right there. Right at this little tip here.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what you use for you do your cutting lines.
So grip and amount, and the 2-finger rule is a pretty good one, or 2 plus.
Yep.
All right, I'm with you.
All right. This is how we do.
So let's see the technique here.
You dip. That amount of paint right there.
Yep.
Couple dabs. Take some of the excess. Just a little.
Yep.
And then you go for it.
You need to go for it.
And then you start right here. Let's go like that. You don't need to go straight into the wall. You just go easy. Couple dabs.
Yep.
And work your way in slow, just like that.
Look at you.
All right.
I'd be shaking right now.
Remember, you always can come back
Yep.
and spread that paint a little better right there.
Yeah.
Nice brush stroke right in there. So you're not going to see any paint dripping or anything like that. Let's say you cut the wall, I mean the trim, right like that. And then you just touch a little bit in there. So first thing you do, always carry like a wet rag.
You've got that on you at all times.
All the time. I mean, not so much now because, you know, but if you're not familiar with all these techniques, you can use one of this. Nothing wrong with that.
Gotcha.
Just go in there. All right. Couple dabs, nice and easy,
You're good to
and
go.
it's done, clean.
I mean, so long as you get it while it's still wet, you're in good shape.
You're in good shape. Don't let it dry, because
Don't
then
let
you're
it
in
dry.
trouble.
Gotcha.
Then you're going to have to do a lot more touch-ups to correct one single line.
How do you feel about painter's tape, though?
It's okay to use, all right? I use it a lot. Sometimes we do use because we should protect some areas like baseboards. We're not doing anything on the floor. I use the blue tape or the green tape or yellow tape, whatever color you feel comfortable with.
Gotcha.
But if you're not a professional, it's okay to use tape.
All right. So I've got grip, I've
got
got
grip.
quantity, 2 fingers, I got little dab, I got come at it with the front tip, I got
Yep.
nice and slow, and I got have a wet rag on hand at all times.
Right there. It's all you need, and you'll be like doing a lot of painting. This is the first step. Those are the techniques that you should learn.
The last thing that I would add to the whole thing is just keep your number on speed dial.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Mauro, thank you.
You're welcome.
You got a little drip right there.
Yeah.
Get that for me.
Let's take care of that. Remember, the paint is still wet. Look like.
Nice. All right, thank you.
All right, it looks good.
Looks real good.
Want to give it a try?
Mark, it's great to see you again. Thanks
All
for
right.
coming.
Thanks for having me back.
As I told you before, we bought this house about 2 years ago. We had it completely rebuilt, and then pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And so we had lots of time to do house projects, and we actually did this fence so we can, enjoy the backyard a little bit more since we were using the outdoor space. But what I really wrote you about was the patio. So the patio, as you can see, is small.
Right.
It doesn't really fit a table, and we'd really just like to expand it so we can really enjoy the space back here.
Okay. 2 options. The first one is take this existing patio and blast it out. I don't want to do that for a couple reasons. First of all, it's in great shape. I love the stain. But look at this post. It's actually holding up the porch. So if we do leave this in place, the second option is going to be an extension of the patio.
Okay.
And we can do it in such a way that it's not going to be your typical bluestone or your typical brick. We're going to modernize it with another material and just do a couple different things to bring it up to matching the rest of the house.
Oh, super.
A couple things I have in mind. I have a map and some stone. Why don't we go check them out?
Great.
All right. All right, so this is the stone we chose.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's a granite. It comes in a variety of sizes, as you can see. We chose this for a couple different reasons. The main reason is we got it locally, which is what we always try to do. The straight lines that you see in these pieces, they're going to help us with that modern look, as is this coloration. The coloration will lend itself to the patio. It'll pull the color out of the house. So one of the consistencies we do have with this stone is its thickness. That's 1.25 inches thick, so it's going to be easy for us to handle. But let me show you the design. So we're going to put grass 4 inches apart in between each stone. So you can see all the different sizes.
That's beautiful.
There's actually a little bit of function to this. So the bigger stones we're going to be able to set a table on or a chair. The smaller stuff is going to really help us with accent. Again, just another aspect of that modern look that we're trying to capture.
Great.
All right, so before we get to this, we do have a bit of hard work in front of us. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go get it. All right, Amy, so what we're gonna do is dig this out first. I'm gonna use this machine. It's gonna make it a little easier. But when I'm done doing the heavy digging, you and I will just clean this up with a couple spade shovels and get ready to let.
Sounds
All right?
good.
Before you dig, you should contact the utility locating service to make sure that you don't disturb any underground utility lines. I've already done this, so we are good to go. To create a strong base, we need to dig deep enough to remove all the topsoil. All right, Amy, so why don't you clean up that corner, kind of
Okay.
feed me
Okay.
what you have there. We want to make sure that these edges are really, really done right. So we want to square them off. All right, that's great. So right now we got the dig out complete. All we have to do right now is bring in some crusher run. We'll level that off, and then we'll be ready for stone dust. We're going to spread this stuff out all over our patio. It's going to be our base, which is the most important thing in this job. So
How much more do we need to put in here until we go to the next layer?
we got to come up about 5 more inches.
Oh,
maybe.
okay. Okay.
So the digging is done. We've put in the crusher run. We've leveled it off. A couple other things that I did was I set these strings. I wanted to square the patio up, which I've done, but I also wanted you to see the height that we're going to finish out at. So this string right here is going to represent our finish height. So the top of the stone is going to be right there. But this rail is going to represent the height of our stone dust. So once we put these rails in, now we're ready to use this screed. And we're going to run it from rail to rail, and we're going to move it backwards, and that's going to level off the stone dust for us. Okay. At that point, we're going to be ready for the stones. So before we put the stones down, we're going to put this stone dust in. Okay. And all this is crushed slate, but you can see how that binds up once I squeeze it. Yeah. So Mother Nature is going to add a little rainwater, and by the time we have 3 or 4 rainstorms, this is going to be very, very solid. And we won't have any rocking of the pavers when we're done. So why don't we get going? I'll start by dumping this.
Okay.
All right, Amy, why don't we grab the screed
Okay.
right on the rail. Now, we're going to knock the pile down just by going back and forth a little. You're going to lean on, now if we have an empty spot like that,
You gotta fill it in.
we just fill it in. Okay. Now go back, Amy. All right, Amy, we're at the fun part right now. We're going to start dropping the stones. So we're going to start in this corner because I have a hard edge, which is your patio. I'm going to take a screed and I'm going to let it represent our spacing. So according to our plan, we have 4 inches of spacing, and then...
And then we have a 12 by 28
Okay.
going this way,
All right.
2 of them.
So let me take this. And don't forget, Amy, that we've done all our leveling work with the screed. So all we have to do is just place that stone, give it a couple taps. We're ready for the next one. Couple more spacers. All right, Amy, give me some spacers. One here, one on the 16, one up on the stone that you're next to. This stone. So we just make a slight adjustment. All right, Amy, I think that one goes right there. Well, we're at the finishing touches right now.
So excited.
So all we have to do now is put the grass in between the stones, and we actually have 2 options. We can use this synthetic grass, or we can go natural, which is dirt, seed. The only problem with that is it becomes very hard to maintain. The grass doesn't grow as well as you might think. And this synthetic grass, I'll tell you, technology has brought us a ton, and this is almost identical to what you have in the backyard. So
I think that's a no-brainer, low maintenance, no weeds.
yeah, it'll be
that.
perfect for us, yeah. All right, let's get going.
That looks great. I've seen people with big rolls of those.
Right. So it's become so prevalent in a patio like this that they actually make it in 4-inch strips now.
Oh, that's great.
Just like that. All right.
Go.
Great.
This looks amazing. Feels solid. It's like this instant
We got it in.
hangout.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So Amy, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of homework. You can
Okay.
see we spread the dirt on the outside perimeter.
Yep.
We've sloped it so the water's going to run off the patio and down the grade.
Okay.
Other than that, the only homework you have is to water the grass.
That'll be easy. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Amy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Camilla.
Hi, Tommy.
Next time on Ask This Old House, on a special kids edition,
Yeah.
we'll catch up with an aspiring woodworker who inspired us with her love of the craft. She spent the last few years brushing up on her techniques and now is ready for a shop of her own.
You thinking about right in here for a work table?
Yeah, right here.
So we paired her up with our very own Tom Silva.
There you go.
All that next time on Ask This Old House.